A very good Monday afternoon to all, and a warm welcome to our webinar titled Community Building for Startups and Investors. This webinar is organized by Bamcon, an innovative equity crowdfunding platform for tokenized securities that has recently obtained an innovation testing license from the Dubai Financial Services Authority. Bambacon is also authorized by the Central Bank of Bahrain for participation in the fintech regulatory sandbox to operate as a securities tokenization platform while in the sandbox. Bambacon is one of AngWest Ventures group companies, and AngWest Ventures invests in early stage technology companies globally. My name is Rachel Fernandez, and I'm part of Bambacon. I will be moderating the session today. The theme for today is community building, and we as Bumcon feel proud to be members of strong growing communities like the European Business Angel Network and the Crowdfunding Professional Association in the US. Audience, all the questions, comments, or any sort of insights that you have, you can type them in the chat box during the live stream, and we will address them towards the end of our webinar. Now, without further ado, I'd request our esteemed group of panelists to introduce themselves. So, Preeti, would you like to take the lead?
Okay, thank you. A very good afternoon to everybody that's logged in from the GCC today. Namaste from India. My name is Preeti Chaudhary, and I am the founder of LinkedIn Local India, which is a LinkedIn property and online to offline meetup concept. Thank you very much, Team Bambicon, for inviting me to share my views on this very important topic. I'm looking forward to sharing my experiences and my stories. Thank you again, and let the day begin. Back to you, Rachel. Thank you.
Mohammad Awad, why don't you go next?
Sorry, what was the question? Because there was a signal problem I had. What was the question?
Just introduce yourself. Just introduce yourself to the audience.
Okay. Again, my name is Mohammed Awad. I'm basically brand and communication expert in the Kingdom of Bahrain. What I do is basically I help people, businesses to be more relevant, consistent, and to be noticed through brand and communication integration. And what I am doing right now is I work full-time at a company called United Chemical Technology, which is a detergent manufacturing company in Bahrain. And I'm working as over here as the head of brand and marketing. And again, once again, thank you for this webinar. I appreciate it. I appreciate BambooCon inviting me to be part of this. And yeah.
Awesome. We're also equally excited to have you here. Audra, would you like to go next?
Yes, hello. Audra Shalal, founder and managing director of Boss Consulting, strategic management firm that consults for international organizations such as the United Nations, European Commission, OECD, on reinforcing entrepreneurial ecosystems, particularly in emerging markets. So facilitating between the public sector, private sector, the government, academia, and bringing recommendations to policymakers and ministries to see how to better enhance ecosystems in specific countries. I sit on the board of several business angel networks. I'm representing here EBAN, the European Business Angel Network. It's based in Brussels. It's an angel, a network of networks. I'm also on the board with the Nordic Female Business Angel Network in Helsinki, the Business Angel des Grandes Écoles in Paris, France. And I had helped set up one of the first angel networks in Bahrain, the Middle East, Temu. And I am a mentor for several accelerators and incubators, particularly the Open Accelerator in Milano and the camp in the Aix-en-Provence, and manage and teach entrepreneurship in several engineering schools to bring innovation together with the management. So I'm very happy to be here. Also with the European Commission, I'm on the jury for the European Innovation Council. So on the jury with for allocating European investment funds to startups and scale-ups from different countries in Europe. Happy to be here and looking forward.
Awesome. We're really thankful for all of you joining us as panelists today. So let's get the conversation rolling. Preeti, to start with you, community building is an art, but what exactly is the science behind it, and why is it important as of today? And could you tell us how it has changed over the years? Preeti,
Thank
could
you
you
for that
unmute
question,
yourself?
Rachel. Thank you for that question. And it's a very important question, the very foundation of community building. I guess, arts sort of refer to the feelings and the emotions, whereas the sciences refer to the systems, the processes, the logics of why we do things, why we do them, and when we do them. So to quickly address, let's talk about the science behind community building, and I would help you understand that by building online communities. So we don't just get up one day and do something for the sake of doing. There is a particular thought process, a roadmap, a mindset, and then several logical steps that we follow one after the other. And here is where the science of it sort of steeps in. So by that example of online community building, I think the first step in that, and let's help understand this by what are the steps involved in this online community building. So the first step is basically it's a communication. Any community for that matter is communication based. It's a two-way sort of street. Basically, as much of information as you or useful information as you can include into your website, followed by frequent updates, generating of new content, encouraging and sort of engaging with your visitors to get them to come back, and opening up of dialogues and sort of conversations. These are the logical steps that follow into making of an online sort of community. So this example by in itself says that it's not just the feelings and emotions that are behind any sort of a community building, but it's a well thought through process wherein one goes about building communities. Now, to understand the importance of it, I think it's extremely important to understand that people do business with people. People don't do business with brands. I'm sure the marketers will differ here, but at the core of every business is a human. So the point of community building comes into play here is when you're building communities and talking to your customers, vendors, partners, you're actually humanizing your brand. And in today's day and age of marketing dollars shrinking, the top lines and the bottom line shrinking, if you are on about building a cohesive community that sort of talks a lot, you automatically gain your brand ambassadors, your advocates, wherein when they have had a positive experience with your product or service, then they go out and talk about your product or service. So in that respect, I think communities are extremely important. And the third bit, what you said, how has it changed over the years? I think with the advent of internet, we've seen a huge mindset and shift change towards everything moving online, and especially in the last year or so, with all of us being locked down in our sort of homes and offices, we've come up with a hybrid model. So the major change, what I see is, whereas earlier everything used to be physical, then it slowly moved into sort of online, and now going forward, I think it will be a mix of online and offline. So that is the massive shift I see. And in the essence of time, I think that is what I would like to add now. For anything more, I'm reachable on LinkedIn. If anybody wants to dive deeper, more than happy. Please do reach out. Back to you. Thank you.
Awesome. Audra, EBAN is Europe's leading investor network, and early stage investments or startup founders get a lot of momentum and exposure to EBAN. So it has over 150 member organizations with 30,000 members in over 50 countries today. Along with building strong angel networks, at the same time, EBAN also supports startups in various initiatives such as scale ups. So, being an esteemed board member at EBAN, can you elaborate the importance of community building amongst angels and VCs, and how can investors benefit from such kind of community building?
Yes, as a board member of several angel networks, this is why I have been very engaged with the European Business Angel Network, because it's a network of network. And it's basically a platform that brings together all of the different stakeholders within the ecosystem. But it's mostly targeting angels, business angels as first, but also in order to meet the needs of business angels and help facilitate access to finance to entrepreneurs, and for angel investors to be able to co-invest and make it much easier and to create linkages. This is where the European Business Angel Network started to create a network of networks by bringing in representatives of different angel networks throughout Europe. And as that was established, it was also being a benchmark and helping angel networks in other parts of the world globally, in the Middle East, in Africa, Latin America. What is important, particularly, for example, with angel networks, is that establishing a local angel network is already important because of local communities and bringing together people that are more like-minded, and depending on what type of, for example, as an angel network, what type of investments that angels are interested in, and what financing, what period of financing, whether it's early stage, scale up, or Series A. And that's where it becomes important. First is establishing a network of angels that are interested, for example, in investing in early stage, and whether they're generalists, whether they're more IT, high tech, deep tech, biotech. And so some angel networks are generalists, and there's investors that like to diversify their portfolios and not be involved in one particular sector. And then there's other angel networks that cater to angels that are interested more just in deep tech, or in sport tech, food tech. Also, there's biotech angel networks. So this is where this helps build the community from within, and it's all about trust. And this is why once these local networks and local communities come together, and angels and members that are investing together, they create a trust between each other with their know-hows, with their expertise, and to be able, and while going through due diligence, being able to trust how the process is going. And this is where, as things are becoming more global, it becomes very important when we're moving into cross-border investing and co-investing. How do you create that trust between other angels, and also to know and be aware of specific deal flow, to know what type of projects have that investor ready position. And this is where, with the European Business Angel Network, is that representatives of different angel networks coming from different countries, is that by taking part on this platform, is that as we are getting to know the other angels coming from the different networks in the different countries, we start building trust. We start building, sharing know-how, sharing deal flow. And for example, with me, is that if I have a French startup company that I first invested in, and is looking for the next round of financing, and they're looking to go, let's say, to the Nordics to invest into new markets, I already know angel networks that are in Finland with FIBAN, or with Estonia with the Estonian Business Angel Network. So I'm able to kind of pass on the torch, and kind of like with the also showing that, hey, I know this is a good company. I can vouch for it. We invested in it. They're looking into the new markets. Really take a look. And other angels are more quick to do follow-up investments, because as they know you, and they know what type of investor you are, and how you go through the due diligence process, it actually definitely accelerates the investment. And this is why it's so important that when when especially things are more global and we're doing more of this type of cross-border investing with companies going scalable into new markets, this is where it becomes very important that we're all linked together and creating a common bond within. And it's really like the number one, because just as much as when we say, do we invest in the horse or the jockey? Most would say, oh, you're investing in the horse. And no, we're investing in the jockey because it's, we can have a very good horse and you'll have the top horses that are competing with each other. But then again, it's the jockey that at the very end, it has a strategy of how to accelerate to get to that finishing line to be the first. And this is the same for when it comes to angel investors, is building that trust between each other on investments, in the entrepreneurship community. And that's where also is because when you're looking for follow-up with VCs, venture capitalists, is that by already creating these kind of relationships and letting investors already be in touch with other investors from the platform and within the ecosystem, this makes it much more easier and facilitates follow-up rounds.
Thank you, Audra. That was quite insightful from your end. So moving on to Mohammad, there are myths around online social networks being the key to a brand strategy. But in reality, online social networks are just a tool. But what more can startups or founders do in order to enhance their brand community and communicate their mission very effectively and creatively?
Okay. Um, First of all, I would like to thank the two guests with their feedback to your question. Very informative and educating. See, we are right now living in an online world where we have so many information that is put out there on a daily basis. Now, the question is, how can you stand out in front of among these thousands, if not millions, of information that you receive every day? As a human brain, as a human mind, we have a limitation to what comes in and what you absorb. There's this, there's a difference between listening and hearing. So founders should think about, do their target audience, do they want them to hear or do they want them to listen? I would rather go with the listen. What Preeti mentioned earlier, which is a very important point, people don't deal with brands anymore. People work with people. And that's what you see everywhere nowadays. For example, let me give you an example. If Adidas wants to release his shoes, the first thing they do is, you don't see any more Adidas ads anymore. You don't see it on social media. What they do, hey, listen, a celebrity, Kanye West, can you wear the shoes in your concert, for example? And you have so many fans actually watching him wearing that shoes, and it resonates with them. And then the next day you will see everybody's buying that specific model of shoes because Kanye West have wore that same thing. Let me give you another example. Right now, at the moment, working in United Chemical Technology, again, as I mentioned, we are a detergent manufacturing company. So what do we create? We create hand soaps, shower gels, laundry detergents, chloro bleach, sanitizer. Like one of these this is one of our brands. So we produce anything that's related to hygiene and cleaning. For example, focusing only on online community building is not enough. You need to go also sometimes offline. And one of the example I've discussed just recently with management, why don't we do something different? For example, let's gather 100 people. Let's do all of us a beach cleanup and get the press and create a nice video and get a food truck over there and help the community. See, this is what people are looking. So try to do something different. What everyone is doing right now is they are recruiting an advertising agency. Hey, listen, we want to build a community. How? By creating some cool designs. That's not enough by creating some cool design. Design is just one part of your strategy, just to have a nice presentation. But building community is way more than this. Let me give you another example so that I'm trying to give you different examples, different sectors, so that more people can understand. BambooCon, what you are doing right now, it's amazing. You are inviting people like myself, like Preeti, like Audrey, and more to come and discuss and add value and give information. And this will attract different investors to BambooCon. This will attract founders. This will attract angel investors to come and follow you guys, to come and engage with us and all. So that's what community building is. The problem with community building is not an easy task. It differs from company to company. It does not happen in one day. It takes time, it takes effort, it takes a lot of thought. That's the reason many companies don't do it, because everyone wants to go the easy way out. Let's download Canva application and do some nice design and say, hey, do you know that blah, blah, blah? No, that's not enough. You need to be different. If you look at in Bahrain right now, like I don't want to mention the brand name. It's a brand that opened a couple of years ago. They sell ice cream yogurt. Okay, I guess most of you would know when I say ice cream yogurt. You should have, when they opened the first year, you could not actually get the ice cream on the spot. Like, you had to wait in line for half an hour. Right now, they have 4 branches in Bahrain, and if you pass by, nobody's there. No one. Why? Because they never built a proper community. Because their advertisements always was selling, selling, selling. This is our new product. This is what we have. This is what we are offering. This is some Mother's Day, Valentine's, and all. That's not enough. You're only trying to sell. People need to be connected with their brand. And when I say brand, is people. Who is the brand? I am. For example, United Chemical Technology, I am the brand. Yourself, Preeti, she has a company, she has a business, but who's the brand? She's the brand. So people need to connect with people, and there are many ways to do it. But the question is, do you have the effort and time and resources to do it? I know it's not easy what I'm saying. You need resources. You need sometimes you could be creative without spending a single dollar and doing something crazy. So that's what I'm trying to say. Community building is not easy. It takes time and effort. To be honest, I don't like the word doing things out of the box. It's used and abused. It's very overrated. But what I'm saying is, if you want to build community, there should be some human touch. You should add value. There should be things that you can add. Business is not about only taking. Nowadays, especially the Generation Z, they want you to show them what you can do for the community. Like, for example, I'll give you another example. Right now, I'm connecting with the company right now, so that our company, United Chemical Technology, we could be an environmental friendly company. Like, for example, ordering environmental friendly bottles, environmental friendly chemicals, whatever it could be. How can we take our business, our brand, to be the #1 environmental friendly company, being a detergent company? So this is a very huge, and doesn't take 1 day or 2 days. It's going to take at least a 3 to 4 years plan. So then again, that's how I see things. It's a mix between offline and online, exactly what Preeti said, and exactly what we said again. Brand, people don't follow brand, people follow people, and that's how everything should work.
Awesome. So that was quite interesting from your end to understand the brand's perspective, it being more about people behind the brand than being selling itself. So, Audrey, moving on to you. You have implemented various projects in the Kingdom of Bahrain along with angel investors, entrepreneurs, or policymakers and different international organizations. So, how can community building be enhanced or promoted in the MENA region? What's your take on it, and can platforms like BambooCon itself contribute to that?
Yes, when I was doing quite a bit of initiatives in the Middle East, particularly with Bahrain, with OECD, having set up the MENA Investment Center and also the MENA OECD Enterprise Finance Network. The objective of the MENA OECD Enterprise Finance Network was to bring different stakeholders together in order to minimize the equity gap. And this was by building a network and a community of those that were in the angels, entrepreneurs, bringing together also the VCs, the private equity, and then, also policymakers and ministries to see like how can we have better policies, whether it's, tax wise, whether it has to do with academia, whether there's certain barriers to entrepreneurs or even angel investors. So the objective was minimizing the equity gap. And so, and that was also for entrepreneurs, how to have access to finance, and also creating those links for the different financial chain. So angels who are already in touch with VCs, it's easy for them to pass on those projects to the next. And this is where also in regards to networks was that, when helping set up the Temu Angel Network and these other networks I've helped in different countries, was that when setting up a network, I've had those who've wanted to say that, hey, we need an angel network and investors within our local community. How do I get this network established? And I always said, you need to find your champion. And champion meaning that you need to find someone that is very well respected within the community in order to bring more people together who have this trust between each other. And he found his champion. And that was where he was able to bring and gather a few of his colleagues to come together to see how to establish the network. And then from that network, by bringing other colleagues of the colleagues, coming together, where where these networks and platforms become so important is and for example, like entrepreneurs having access to these platforms of VCs and angel investors, is that what's interesting is that when there's specific events taking place and pitching events or capacity building or pitch coaching, what's interesting is by bringing together these different community members, is that I remember sometimes as I was coaching different entrepreneurs in an event and also being on the expert jury for certain pitching events, I would see certain startup companies come to another event that I hadn't seen like 6 months earlier. And I remember them saying that, yes, I don't know, I'm here at this event. They're kind of the same investors or coaches that I've seen from before. I'm not sure really. I mean, it's great meeting different participants and different entrepreneurs and angels, but it's not like I've gotten my investment yet. So I don't really know how effective this really is. But in fact, I was saying that to them. I said, no, because I've been coaching at these different events and also have been on the juries. And I remember your company. And actually, what's interesting is that having seen you before when I had coached you, and then seeing you again as you're presenting your pitch for investment, is that I've seen that you've achieved specific milestones, that you actually incorporated, implemented many of the things that I had said. And many other investors that were at this event noticed this too. So actually, now that we see how you've evolved, this is where we build the trust that, hey, they're capable of implementing what we've said. They're more investor ready than they were before. And so actually, when you think that by going to these different events or being involved within specific communities that you feel you may not be achieving your goal as quick enough, actually you're building trust, you're building credibility, you're building relationships. And the thing is that even if I may not be directly investing that particular company, I know others who, for example, because they're in Germany and I'm linked with other angel investors from German networks, I know who to put them in touch with that would be interested in their particular company. So this way, I'm also being able to help them gain access to finance, having also my angel colleagues being able to be privy to very good projects. And this is, what creates that really strong ecosystem from within. And that's why when in the Middle East when there was that MENA OECD Enterprise Network, it really brought together all of the different stakeholders involved and seeing how they could really progress and put certain incubators and accelerators and bringing the right people together who wanted to have to achieve the specific objectives. And that's where it's important too, is that within a community and as you're building it, it's really important to have clear objectives within your community. You know, why is there this network? What do you want to achieve? What are our goals? Because that's what makes it easier for a network to be able to understand why they're participating in this particular group. And that's why with the main OECD Enterprise Financing Network, the mission was to minimize the equity gap. So people would come together for different events and things to see how we can, whether it's on the VC side, the demand side, or the supply side, whether it was on the government side or even the academia, that there wasn't maybe enough entrepreneurship programs to promote entrepreneurship. This is where people came together and felt that they could collaborate together to see how to enhance their ecosystem. And this is where I feel that where community building becomes so important. And that's why also when we're speaking, because with Mohammed and Preeti, you know, talking about offline, online, yes, it's very important. Many of the mentoring programs or academic programs I have within universities is that there's like offline, where, you know, they're meeting in small groups and having mentorship and specific mini events. But then also, you know, depending on, as we're now in this pandemic and there's lockdowns and things, how do we maintain it with online? And how effective online too is, it's very important that as you're also creating community, you know, some feel that, okay, within my network, you know, we're having specific events, we're bringing in specific experts, we're doing the best we can to create a solidarity between our networks, but it's not enough in the sense that you have to be very interactive. And, you know, many workshops have become where you just have the speaker and you have a large audience, but there's no interaction between the audience and the speaker. And so what happens is people are going from one webinar or one event to another, but not feeling that they're getting their value added. When in fact, for example, with the U.S. Embassy, there were different incubators and accelerators and entrepreneurship networks and even angel networks that were taking part of my event. But within my pitch workshop, I had breakout rooms that were out of 150. They were broken into 10 breakout rooms, you know, of 10 participants each, and I put them to be working on different aspects of the pitch workshop, you know, on developing your pitch. And the thing was that when they were in their small breakout rooms, we made sure that they came from different networks and organizations so that they can network between each other. And as they were working together on their pitches, they started creating a connection between them, and they had to choose who was the best pitch within their breaking group. And then I was able to bounce in these breakout rooms to be able to see how everybody was coming together. And then we all came together at the end to bring the best 10 pitches that we could share with the rest of the audience. And this is where they felt that they had a value added, because they felt that they were meeting because they got switched between breakout rooms. So they met at least 10 different people within their groups and from different networks. And this is where they started building their community within their the ecosystem. So this is where it's very important on how these networks and events are organized, especially when we're doing more on offline and online, and also with, as I said, having a particular objective and mission and vision, so that those that are coming together, there's a particular purpose and people are working towards the same. Because by working towards the same, that's where you get the right people to come working towards the same vision. And then by creating these, like EBAN, having a network of networks, is that each angel network has its you know, communities, and they're coming together. But you see within EBAN, It's also about how to promote entrepreneurship, how to facilitate access to finance for angel investors, how to also, with business angels, you have impact investors, you have high-tech investors, you also have investors who have different goals in the way they invest. So by creating, like EBAN created the EBAN space, the EBAN impact, the EBAN health, and that's bringing all the other angels and members together that are interested in that particular sector and creating an ecosystem within those different categories. So people feel that they're more contributing and taking a part and sharing their special savoir-faire, their know-how and all. So that's what's important. And that, again, when someone's thinking of building a community or building a new network, that's where it's important, again, is that you have to find your champion who is well respected within the community that will be able to help you get a jump start in bringing the right people together.
Thanks, Audra. That was very interesting to understand how exactly, even amongst the angel networks, you have different communities coming forward and building relationships amongst each other and with startup founders as well. So, moving on to Mohammed Awad, what role does brand management play in the community building aspect? How can a founder maximize his or her visibility, on the social media aspect, or when it comes to webinars or websites or public relations and so on? How can you actually enhance this with respect to community building, and how can you carefully curate such touch points for founders?
Cool. First of all, I would like to divide this answer to two. Okay, and at the end there's an advice. So two divide, and there's an advice at the end. So number one is firstly integration. When I say earlier, when I introduced myself, I said that I help people and companies to be relevant, consistent, and to be noticed through brand communication integration. Now, what do I mean by integration? Integration meaning is that a lot of companies, again, focus a lot on brand. When they say brand is a logo, brand is our stationery, brand is whatever we design, whatever we post, and that's it. Brand is actually more than this. Brand is a person, like how I'm a person, like how Muhammad Awad is, how he moves, how he talks, how he dresses up. Who are his friends? What does he do? Where does he go to the weekend? Brand companies are the same, exactly the same, but in, of course, different perspectives, definitely. So when I say integration, I don't mean by only focusing on your design, focusing on your marketing, but focusing also on operation, focusing on how your company's culture is, focusing on, again, what she said earlier, that we need to focus also on our mission and vision. Many companies, unfortunately, don't know exactly what is their vision and mission. They have their vision and mission posted on their website, but unfortunately, they don't even know or don't believe in it. And if you ask them what is your vision, they'll be like, which, unfortunately, if you don't know what is your mission and vision, then you don't know exactly how to integrate things in your brand, unfortunately. Okay, so it's very important to understand how to integrate things. Your brand, again, is not the logo, it's not the design. Brand is people, brand is operation, brand is HR, brand is administration, brand is how you talk to people, brand is culture. So companies should integrate, the founder of a company should integrate all this so that you can have consistent and relevant outcome to what you're looking for. Now, when you have this setup, when you have the integration done, everything is ready, you're 100% fine, you have done your research, you have very good outcome from your research that you have done from customers, great. Now let's go to online. A lot of companies, again, and brand owners do this mistake, and because they don't have the right vision and mission, they don't know how to choose the right channels of communication, also online. Like, let me give you an example, what happened recently. For example, I'm a YouTuber. I have two YouTube channels, which is called Unleashed by Muhammad Awad, which is motivation. Unleashed by Muhammad Awad Business, which is into brand and marketing. So those are two different channels that I have. And I only focus on YouTube, then comes LinkedIn, then comes Instagram account. Instagram is the same thing I post. I repurpose my content, but I'm more personal over there. I take pictures of myself with my friends, with my daughter. We go out and post important topics or whatever it could be. LinkedIn is where the professional things happen. My business, who I am, my YouTube channel, and all. YouTube is basically where I post my videos and then repurpose it to all the other channels that I have, the two channels. What's happening right now is because people don't understand their vision, don't know their mission, any new application that is now becoming a buzz, everybody's running towards that. Right now, Clubhouse. Everybody is going with Clubhouse. Everyone. To be honest, I didn't even download it. Why? Because it's not for me. It's not for me. It doesn't work for me. Then all of a sudden, I see people are going TikTok. Okay, you have YouTube, you have LinkedIn, you have Instagram, you have TikTok, you have Clubhouse. It's like, do you prefer having a relationship with 4 or 5 people or a relationship with one person? When you have a relationship with one person, you put your heart towards that. You know everything about that person. But when you have a relationship with 4 or 5 people, you go into trouble. You don't exactly how to set time, who to take who on a date, and you get into trouble. And then at the end, if they at all the 4 or 5 men or the women, they know that you are cheating, then you screw your reputation. This is exactly what's happening right now. If you are hanging out with different applications, you don't exactly where to post, how to post, what you're doing. You're posting the same thing everywhere just to get attention and get more likes and all. That's wrong. So founders of business, sorry, I'm bringing up personal things because my example is always personal and business. They always work together hand in hand. So that's why I bring personal, so that people understand what I'm trying to say. So again, understand your channels. Based on these channels, go back to what are your strategies, what is your mission and vision, and what are your objectives. Why you are doing the things that you are doing? Why you post? Is it relevant? Does it make sense what you're doing? And then choose the right channel and then post them. Now, point number 1 is done in iteration. Point number 2, choosing the right channel. Don't spread everywhere. Just choose the right channel for your business. And number 3, which is that advice that I always advise to everyone, to all the brand owners, to founders, to investors, whoever you are. How can I say? Don't only depend on the degree that you have, that you studied and you're done. No, marketing, brand building, it's an ongoing education. It's a life. It doesn't end. Read books, watch Gary Vaynerchuk on YouTube, watch my channel on YouTube, participate in webinars, learn. Because for example, I'm a brand and communication expert, right? What I knew 6 months ago does not apply today. It will change. And for you to always to build on that, to be updated, you need to educate yourself. And the worst thing and many mistakes that owners do is that, you know what, I've studied in my university. I don't need to open any book again. I don't need to check any webinar again. I will just recruit somebody and that's it. If you recruit someone, if you recruit an agency, but you don't exactly what you're doing, you will never achieve your objectives because you're dependent on someone else to do your thing. So my advice to everyone is educate yourself, read more books, participate in webinars, see what people are doing, communicate and build a community, and that's how you grow.
Mohammad, that was indeed motivational, and I'm sure brand owners, founders, investors, or anybody who wants to learn about branding and marketing can take a lot from your insights. So, moving on to Preeti now. Preeti, is community building any different than networking? And how can we build meaningful relationships with people on a more professional level? So, what's your take on that?
Thank you. And I think, again, a very important question. I think before we proceed to understanding what this is all about, let's understand the basic difference between a network and communities. So essentially, a network is nothing but a web of interconnected personal relationships. For example, just quoting our right here, let's take an example of LinkedIn. LinkedIn is the only professional network in the entire world with 70 million plus members. that provides an opportunity and a platform for each one of us right here, so you, Rishal, our Audra, me, to connect with each other. So essentially, if I'm connected to you, to Awad and Aura, this is my network right here. So simply put, it is nothing but interpersonal, personal relationships. Okay. Now, the boundaries of a network are very hard to define, because each one of us can be further connected to so many other people. So there is no particular boundary that can be defined to a network. Rather, it is a sum of, how deep it goes. So it is more density that you can use to define a network versus anything else. Now let's come to communities. What are communities? Essentially, communities are bunches of networks. So there can be many networks within a community. The main factor of a community is where they have a shared sense of belief and behavior. Okay. So which means like-minded people, when they come together, when they think as one, behave as one, where their goals are similar, that is the part, that entity per se is called a community. So getting to understand the basic difference now brings us to the question of, again, networking versus community. I think, like I just explained, the community in the whole is the larger picture, and there could be many networks within that particular community. What happens with the community, though, is like we have spoken all through, you have ready-made brand advocates, you have ambassadors, you have shared sort of experiences. With that, build trust and credibility. So then it is much easier to be able to sell. When I say sell, I'm not talking about hardcore selling, but it is about any kind of share, whether it is a product, service, ideas, thoughts, beliefs, thought leadership, whatever it is. It is more effective and more impactful when done within a community. Also, with the change in sort of so many scenarios, with a circular economy in place, e-commerce in place, social commerce in place, peer-to-peer networking in place, I think collaboration is the way forward. And therefore, I think it is, for me personally, any day, community over just one solid network, because it's I can do so much with a community as compared to a network. Now, coming to your second question of how do we sort of connect more meaningfully or build more meaningful relationships professionally? Okay, very simple thing. I think it should be a giver's mindset. First of all, in our heads, we should be ready to give first and ask later. Every time we go to, say, a set of people and go with a mindset of what's in it for me, that is never going to work out. But if we were to go and add value first, to say, if I can help Awad or Audra with something, I know Audra is into cross-border entrepreneurship. So if I could go with added value of saying, look, hey, I'm deeply entrenched in the startup ecosystem in India, let's collaborate. So Audra will have a chance and that connection will convert because I'm already adding some value to it. But if I went to Audra or Awad for that matter and said, Awad, can you please help me build my brand? Now, what sort of a thing is that? I'm not offering anything to Awad. I'm going for what can you give me? So the first thing is, I think, value addition. Again, it's more sort of execution oriented, So if we go out, we should be more sort of solution driven, execution focused, rather than just sitting on ideas and not really doing anything about that. Another very important aspect to build professional relationships is to be the top of the mind recall person. And here I will again refer back to what Audra said earlier in terms of that one champion, because they are so good in their personal, referring to what Awad had said, their personal brand is so strong that they're very well known in that community. And how do you achieve that status? Exactly by connecting meaningfully with the right mindset of less expectation, more giving, and then also solving other people's problems, anticipating the problems before they come and tell us. If we anticipate, if anybody is going through something within our community, if we go and offer our help, again, we are being more meaningful, to that particular connection. So it is a whole bunch of things. These are just a few examples wherein when we go and connect with people, it is more meaningful, it is more collaborative, it is more beneficial for both the parties. And that is how we are sort of able to build deeper connections, widespread networks, and then later on we can leverage this network for whatever it is that we want to do, whether cause an impact, for profits, for coming together and collaborating, whatever the case might be. I hope that answers your question. Back to you, Rishal. Thank you.
That definitely does, Preeti. That answers all the questions. And with this, we have come to the end, but we do have a question from one of the audience here. So, Nikolai wants to ask what are the key benefits of community building to founders? So, any tips that any of you have that you could offer founders so that they can convert their customers into lifelong evangelists?
Um, yes. For founders, for example, if they're looking for access to finance and also, community building, is that what's important is that as they're trying to build their potential group of investors and, contacting them and different networks, is that it's very important also is that if you're online, your first 2 to 3 sentences is like your elevator pitch. And it's very, very important because investors like us, we get like 50 to 60 requests saying, that we're raising money. This is a great innovative company, et cetera, et cetera. And the thing is, in order to set yourself, to show your secret sauce, and where is that where do you differentiate compared to all of these other entrepreneurs? I had, for example, one founder was doing it's like mate type tea, but where it's kind of like Coca-Cola with bubbles. And but the thing is, as I get a lot in food tech and in the agro industry, is the way he came to me was saying, that I'm an engineer from this particular school, was in business, that, in a sector that had nothing to do with food tech. And we're a group of, young entrepreneurs that have launched this product, and we're kind of looking for other investors. But the thing that was different was that he was such an engineer and coming up with this drink that was very creative, and the name and the branding and these 3 young kind of engineering, like don't want to say out of the box like Mohammed says, but that are very different from the typical type of entrepreneurs we get. This kind of perked my attention to want to know more a little bit about, okay, what is this, rather than having the meaning that each investor that you're targeting is different. And sometimes they group everybody up as if they're all of the same, and they and you tend to contact in the same way, and you have to do your own research on the background and where you can make connections with that particular investor. Second, I would just say that for founders, what's very important is that, because now I'm someone who's very humane. I'm very I'm very a people person, so it's been very difficult for me this COVID, having to do things a lot from online. But of course, you have to adapt, and so I try to see how to adapt where I can have as much connection I can with those. Rather than feeling, that this screen is a barrier between the real contact, human contact. But that's where it's important for founders, is that when it's exactly what Mohammed was saying, and Preeti, that kind of brings it full circle, is that when you are, on Twitter or on Facebook or Instagram, it is very important how you are presenting yourself, and the type of tweets, and how streamlined you are. Because if someone's going to go onto your Twitter and look and say, okay, who is this founder and, what is their company? They're going to be looking at your stream of tweets. And, is it very in harmony? Or is it just a bunch of tweets that, some of it's personal, some of it's professional, some of it has to do with extracurricular activities, some have to do with just the fact that it has to do with the news of the day. And so you get kind of lost in, where what is this founder's real main interest and and goals of their company. And that's where whether you're on Facebook, LinkedIn, you have to know how you're using these tools. And just for example, like if I'm using Twitter, a lot has to do about entrepreneurship and the information about entrepreneurship and angel investing, and because I'm also very involved in high competitive sport, I bring specific sport issues, but it's sport linked with business and the entrepreneurial mindset. And on Instagram, it's the same, where I may have less on the professional side, but it's very streamlined that those who are in the fencing communities and the horse show jumping and entrepreneurship on the mindset, they know where they want to follow and feel that they're again, like-minded, because you're building a community within your different social media outlets. So it's very important how you want to use the different, because sometimes because you can link all of the different, the LinkedIn with the Instagram and Facebook, and you can put the stories at the same time. That's where also is that if you have a different target group in Instagram or how you're using your Facebook and things, you need to do them separately to be more effective. And this way, this is where you'll be bringing in the right community of people to be following you, and then also to be watching what you're doing. And you actually will have investors. I've had, startup companies that I've seen some tweets here and there, and I got very interested. It had to do with, the environment. I saw they came up with this innovative product. So I started following a little more, and then I saw they were looking for scale up money. So I wanted to see, how I could get in touch with them and see how they could be in touch with our networks. So it's very important how you really streamline and communicate, especially when we're more online at the moment.
That's very rightly said, Audra, because what happens is investors are looking for the right kind of startups to invest in, but at the same time, startups also need to find the right kind of investors to approach. So it's a two-way thing there, and they have to establish that relationship at first. So that was wonderful from you. The insights were great. So any concluding remarks from each of you today, just to discuss and summarize?
May I? Okay, very quickly. I think, from me, it is just a couple of things. Basically, execution over ideation and consistency. Those are the two mainstay words with me. That is how I go about doing things for myself. And the third very important thing is be human, focus on your internal and your external customers. Internal customers being your employees, and obviously we all understand what the external customers are. So if you are aligned with these three things, wherein you are execution focused, when you are consistent, and when you're taking care of people, everything else pretty much will fall into place, whether it is community, whether it is numbers, whether it is evangelism, thought process, whatever it is, all of that will come into place. So I think that's what is really important. And as days will go by, the economies are all sort of interconnected. The leadership that is emerging right now, it is more we and less me. And another thing that is also coming up is, I think leaders are no more directors. Leaders are more mobilizers that empower their people to actually do things, and thereby they themselves become evangelists, become brand ambassadors, become the word of mouth, and that's where it sort of gets you a sort of repeat business. So with that, it is over to you, Richard. Thank you.
Thank you, Preeti. Anything from Mohammad Awad? Would you like to say anything, Mohammad Awad?
Hello?
Would you like to say anything to just conclude or summarize?
Yeah, yeah. Just it's a simple thing. Basically, what I want to say is, there is a term called "fake it till you make it," which this is a word which I really hate, and many people I've seen they are trying to do this. You need to think about two things. Do you want to achieve things long term or short term? Short term is the fake it till you make it. You might grow, you might make good money, you might meet a lot of people, but people know when a person is fake. What I advise everyone is try to be genuine, try to be empathetic. By being genuine, by being yourself, by by having empathy towards others, this is where the long things are. You just need to have patience, and through patience and through genuinity and through empathy, you will reach your goals. Let it be money objective, let it be personal objective, let it be whatever objective. You know what is your objective, but be true to yourself. That's my only advice.
Thank you. Well, thank you so much for joining us today for this wonderful discussion. And I'm sure the audience had a lot to learn from each of your perspectives. So, thanks once again. And thank you, audience, for joining us today. And we hope to conduct more such webinars like this in the future. So, stay tuned. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Michelle.